Clara, and welcome back to our Geography Cooking Show. Today, me and my co-host, Layla, will be making everyone's favorite classic dessert, chocolate cupcakes. Here we have all the ingredients laid out. Today we will be describing 3 of the ingredients and talking about the agricultural processes used to make them and where they come from.
My name is Layla, and today I'll be making chocolate cupcakes too. Because we're both female hosts, we decided to start off the episode with the role of women in agriculture. Women are very important to the development of agricultural economies.
Women are very important in agriculture. They comprise 43% of the world's agricultural force. In rural Africa, such as places where cocoa is produced, 80% of agriculture production comes from small farmers who are mostly women.
In some countries, the female agricultural laborer or cultivator is limited to less skilled jobs such as sowing, transplanting, weeding, and harvesting. Laws are being adopted, though, to protect the rights of women farmers and improve the literacy and poverty rates among these women. Star ingredients for today are cocoa.
Our second ingredient is buttermilk. And our last ingredient is all-purpose flour.
The first ingredient is 3/4 a cup of all-purpose flour.
All-purpose flour is made from wheat grains after removing the brown covering. Wheat is grown in 42 states in the United States.
In 2008, the state of Kansas was the largest wheat producer of the United States, and North Dakota a close second. Wheat is grown in Georgia during the winter. Weather that is comfortable for humans is also good for wheat. Wheat needs 12 to 15 inches of water to produce a good crop. It grows best when temperatures are warm from 70 degrees to 75 degrees.
Commercial grain farming is used for growing wheat because the crop is grown for consumption of humans and the output is sold to manufacturers of food products. Wheat production uses very advanced technology and machinery. A wheat swather cuts the stems of the wheat from the ground and a combine separates the grain from the rest of the crop. After this, a grain truck transfers the grain to storage units.
In the 19th century, Johann Heinrich von Thunen developed a model of land use that showed how market processes could determine how land in different locations would be used, and it had 4 different rings. Wheat is in the 4th ring because it can be stored easily without spoiling, and it has a high value and can be shipped profitably. Also, grain farms are very large. After that, we're going to add half a teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 a teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 a teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to add half a cup of cocoa powder. Cocoa powder is made from the dry components of cocoa beans remaining after the cocoa butter is extracted.
70% of the world's cocoa beans come from 4 West African countries: the Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, and Cameroon. The Ivory Coast and Ghana are by far the 2 largest producers of cocoa for Hershey's. Hershey's is also working on cocoa farm improvements in Indonesia and Latin America.
Precision farming is used to grow cocoa beans because it's very labor intensive and it involves scientific methods of cultivation and single crop specialization.
Most cocoa plantations were established by the French. Most of the world's cocoa is grown in a narrow belt 10 degrees on either side of the equator because cocoa trees grow well in humid tropical climates with regular rains, a short dry season, and temperatures between 21 and 23 degrees Celsius.
As most cocoa farmers lack the technical know-how to sustainably manage their cocoa farms, they also lack the tools required to perform the basic good agriculture practices of pruning, fertilizing, sanitation, and frequent harvesting, or to successfully manage a cocoa tree nursery of composting manual operation. So they have a lot of manual labor. The location of cocoa plantations would be in the 4th ring of the von Thunen model because it's because since it's plantation farming, it's extensive and a large amount of land is needed, and it's where crops are grown on a large scale. So now we're gonna mix all of the dry ingredients together. After that, you can either put the bowl aside or you can also use the same bowl if you'd like. So now we're gonna add 2 large eggs at room temperature. Now we're gonna add half a cup of white sugar and half a cup of brown sugar. Then after that, you can add 1/3 a cup of vegetable or canola oil. Now we add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now you can mix all of the wet and dry ingredients together, or you can mix just the wet ingredients and add it to the dry ingredients. So if you're adding the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, you're going to add half of the wet ingredients and half a cup of milk and mix thoroughly. Or if you already mixed both the wet and dry ingredients, you just add half a cup of buttermilk and mix. Dairy farming is what is used to produce milk, and it requires very labor-intensive work because the cows must be milked twice a day, every single day.
2016, California, Wisconsin, New York, Idaho, and Pennsylvania were the highest milk suppliers for the United States. Temperate climates are good for raising cattle, and dairy farming is used for milk production. Dairy farming uses very advanced technology such as automated cattle feeders, automated milking systems, and activity monitors for the cattle. Milk production is located in the first ring of the von Thunen model, dairying and horticulture. It is located here because dairy products are highly perishable and need to be transported to the market quickly. Did you know that if you go on where'smymilkfrom.com that you can find where your milk is from? Our milk is from Ohio. Line the cupcake pan with cupcake liners, and then we're going to spoon the batter into the liners only halfway full. Now bake the cupcakes at 350 degrees for 18 to 21 minutes. We are going to wrap up this episode with a bit of information on the Green Revolution and agriculture and globalization. Globalization refers to the spread of businesses, products, people, and ideas around the world. In agriculture, international trade agreements, farm subsidies, and responses to genetic modification technology all have global impacts on agriculture. This can make farms more productive or allow food to be shipped from areas of surplus to areas of need. Also, nowadays, subsistence farmers must grow food for export instead of for direct consumption as a result of globalization. The Green Revolution occurred in the 1950s and the 1960s when tropical plant and animal hybrids and chemical fertilizers and pesticides began to be used in third world agriculture. Although the Green Revolution has done a lot for third world countries, it has also done a lot of environmental damage. Water supplies have been depleted from irrigation and contaminated by chemical pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers. Much of the chemicals have also damaged the soil and have caused it to erode. A lot of this is because the farmers don't have the tools to handle and dispose of the toxic chemicals. You can add icing if you want, and that's it. We love this recipe because of how simple it is and how much people love it.